Professional Pharmacy at CTMH Doctors Hospital. The Cayman Pharmacy Group has a location for you just around the corner. Seaboard Marine. With over 35 shipping ports, find your shipping solution by calling 949-4977 or visit seaboardmarine.com for competitive rates. FIS MoneyGram, the safest and most convenient way to send money worldwide. MoneyGram, bringing you closer. Coca-Cola, available across the Cayman Islands from Tortuga distributors. Accept no substitutes. Taste the feeling with Coca-Cola. Brand Source Home Gallery, inspiring luxury. And Fidelity Bank. Fidelity, we're good for you.
This is For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Coming to you live from Radio Cayman Studio.
For the record.
For the record. For the record. Hear from your government officials, independents, and the opposition on issues that matter to you. For the record. Engage in an open dialogue between residents and lawmakers.
For the record.
For the record. For the record. Informative, impartial, insightful.
This is your talk show.
1-800-534-8255. Your calls, your input. This is For the Record. And now, your host, Orrett Connor.
Good morning and welcome to For the Record. Today is Monday, the 1st of June, 2020. I hope and I trust. And time is flying. Time is really, really going fast. I hope and I trust that everyone had an enjoyable weekend. Those of you who have lost loved ones over the past few weeks, past few days, again, we express our sincere condolences to you. We know that it is certainly challenging when one loses a loved one, but even more challenging when, because of a pandemic, we have restrictions that necessarily have to be placed on us to ensure that we remain safe, and those restrictions impinge on one's ability to congregate with a limited, with as many people as you would like, and it's limited to a few. And we get it. We understand why that is necessary, and everyone makes the adjustments for those new protocols that are in place, because they know why it's being done, that it's being done for everyone's personal safety as well. But it is quite challenging for families when they have to bury their loved ones under these circumstances. But people are coping with it, people are appreciating, and sometimes some people appreciate the small sizes of the crowds as opposed to having the large crowds, at funerals as well. Some people just like to do it in private and quietly. So again, our sincere condolences go out to you. Those of you who celebrated birthdays over the weekend, we hope that you had a wonderful time, enjoyed it as much as you could as well. For those of you who are on the roads of the Cayman Islands, we urge you, please be extremely cautious. We're seeing the volume of traffic on the roads increasing, continue to increase as the government continues to move into the various phases of the suppression of COVID-19. So we're seeing more traffic on the roads. We urge you, whether you're a pedestrian, whether you're a cyclist, if you're operating any type of vehicle on the roads of the Cayman Islands, please be extremely cautious. Remember, the life you save may be your own. For those of you who are walking on the roads of the Cayman Islands, we will see times change, and your ability to be on the roads, to exercise, will start earlier in the mornings, which means that it'll be dark. Please wear bright clothing, reflective clothing if you possibly can, or wear some sort of reflector, a light, when you're walking, when you're jogging, when you're cycling on the roads of the Cayman Islands. Please be extremely cautious as well. So, folks, I want to thank you for allowing Radio Cayman, and by extension For the Record, into your homes, into your vehicles as you traverse the ever becoming busy roads of the Cayman Islands, into your places of work, wherever that may be. As you know, For the Record is a show produced by the staff and management of Radio Cayman, and it is geared towards keeping you abreast of issues as they arise and play out on the local, regional, and international scene. I'm your host, Orrett Connor, and you're welcome to join me every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 7:30 a.m. until 10 a.m., during which time our phone lines are open with the beautiful radio voice of Ms. Susan Watson waiting there to take your calls on our toll-free number provided courtesy of Flo, 1-800-534-8255. You can also call us on 949-8037 and 949-6990. If you don't like to talk on the telephone, then email us at fortherecord, one word, fortherecord at candw.ky. WhatsApp us, 925-3261. You can send us a text message, leave us a voice note, the contents of which will be played during the course of the show. And of course, you can follow us on YouTube simply by subscribing to Radio Cayman live stream. We will have on the show with us this morning as well the Honorable Joseph Hugh, who's the Minister for Commerce, Planning, and Infrastructure. He's going to join us by phone this morning, and we hope to have a very informative discussion with Minister Hugh as well. Press briefing, which took place on Friday. Lots of details, lots of dates as well. So, it's important for us to remember them, because some will take effect today. Some will take effect in a week's time. Some will take effect 2 or 3 weeks down the line. So I'm going to try to share as much of this as I can with you. So on Friday, the 29th of May, 2020, some of the bullet points: greater easing of current restrictions starts in stages from the 1st of June, which is today. New regulations to this effect should be gazetted by now as well. All aspects of the current hard and soft curfew for the past weekend remain the same. So there would be no changes to the existing curfew conditions until after yesterday, which was the 31st of May. Several restrictions in both hard and soft curfew will be eased starting today as well. From the 7th of June until the 22nd of June, a large number of restrictions will again also be eased. So we have some taking effect today, the 1st of June. Then we have some taking effect on the 7th of June, larger number of restrictions, and they will extend until to the 22nd of June. It was also pointed out that out of the 673 results on Friday, there was only one positive test, and that one was asymptomatic, community transmitted case as well. So out of 673 results, only one positive. Cayman, we're doing well. We know that the virus is out there, but we're doing extremely well by following the guidelines that have been put in place by the government and the medical people as well, medical persons, right? Another bullet point was an FCO donated new gene expert machine for more rapid testing arrived at the Health Services Authority on Friday, and that will go to Cayman Brac to enhance the testing capacity on island. It was also pointed out that an evacuation flight to London is confirmed for Friday, the 12th of June, which will also return a limited number of passengers to the Cayman Islands. It is those returning passengers, to a certain extent, my belief, that they pose the risk, but again, have been effectively controlled by the government by having our quarantine facilities, having our testing regime in place for those individuals, and they coming out of quarantine only after they have passed all of the necessary tests and the protocols that have been put in place as well. So I'm going to try to give you a little bit more detail in relation to the press briefing. So the Chief Medical Officer, Dr. John Lee, reported 673 test results, 1 positive. He also pointed out that 15% of construction workers out of 8,000 were tested. 6 of them resulted in positive results being returned. Out of 141 positives so far, 3 are in Cayman Brac. 818 persons in the Brac have been swabbed, and 699 results have been received. Cayman Brac was aiming for 50% of the population to be tested by the middle of this week here coming. All right. The Foreign and Commonwealth Office provided new testing equipment, a gene expert machine, which arrived, and that arrived along with 200 test cartridges. And like I said earlier, they would be sent to the Brac to enhance the testing capability there. The results on this machine can be obtained in 30 to 45 minutes as well. Okay. Then we had a report from the Commissioner of Police. I'm going to do that very quickly before we get to our first commercial break. Crime situation is stable. 404 speeding tickets issued. I told you about that. Lots of speeders on the road. And that's just a small, I would venture to say that's just a small percentage of those who are actually speeding, the ones that get caught. New regulations are coming to further ease restrictions, and there were some sidebars as well. We're going to take a commercial break. When we return, I will give you some details in terms of what was said by the Premier as well as the Governor and the Minister for Health. So please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
The Cayman Islands boasts of a long, colorful, and rich history. In tribute to our roots, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the Historical Vignette Series, brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects. The Cayman Islands, He hath founded it upon the seas.
Dennis H. Foster, CVO, CBE. Dennis Foster began his civil service career in 1950 in Cayman Brac, performing various duties from selling postage stamps to customs and immigration work. In 1959, he was seconded to the Turks and Caicos Islands as assistant administrator. He returned to Cayman Brac in 1960 and was appointed district commissioner of what were then known as the Lesser Islands. In 1968, he moved to Grand Cayman and was appointed Senior Administrative Secretary. The position description was later changed to Principal Secretary. In 1977, he was promoted to Chief Secretary, a position that included acting as governor in the governor's absence. He was awarded the CBE by Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II in London in 1981. And 2 years later, he coordinated the first visit to Grand Cayman by a reigning monarch. On that occasion, the Queen awarded him the CVO, the first Caymanian to receive this honor. During his career, the Cayman Islands experienced rapid growth, and Dennis Foster played a vital role in its development and that of the civil service. He was married to Reba Raphael Foster Grant, and the couple had one child.
Radio Cayman's historical vignettes was brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects.
With no vaccine, with no cure, our current solution is keeping our distance and staying at home. We stay at home to keep safe, to reduce harm to others. We stay apart while out and about, space between life and death. We keep our distance 6 feet apart because 6 feet apart is better than 6 feet below. We stay at home because it takes upwards of 40 nurses, doctors, laboratory technicians, housekeepers to care for one COVID-19 patient. Diagnosis, intubation, extubation to full recovery. 40 healthcare professionals and their families at risk while taking care of one COVID-19 patient. Breathe easy. Keep your distance. Stay home. Don't risk you. Don't risk others. This is Rotary Central saying, live to breathe, breathe to live, because breathing is everything.
Vamped Motors encourages everyone to stay home in compliance with our government's directives, which are absolutely critical to protect our islands from the coronavirus. In light of this, Vamped Motors will be closed until our Cayman Islands government gives us the all-clear to return to work. Please, everyone, be safe and let's get through this together by staying apart.
Fidelity Bank would like to thank all essential workers. We salute your efforts and thank you for the sacrifices you've made to keep us all safe. During these challenging times we're facing, our top priority is the health and safety of the communities we serve. And while it's true that things are changing rapidly every day, one thing that will never change is our commitment to giving you the best and sound financial solutions to help you during and after the coronavirus pandemic. At Fidelity Bank, our focus will always be you. Fidelity, we're good for you.
Recent worldwide events bring into focus the need for quality health care. Your life is meaningful. Your health is no laughing matter. Cayman Pharmacy Group strives to make your health their concern. Recognizing the complexities of pharmaceuticals and the need to personalize your care with one-on-one counseling, West Bay Pharmacy, Savannah Pharmacy, and CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy. Convenient quality care is just around the corner. Visit CaymanPharmacy.com for more information. Cayman Pharmacy Group, taking care of your health.
We all know there's nothing more refreshing than the taste of an ice-cold Coca-Cola straight from the cooler.
No one can stop me when I taste the feeling.
Whether it's celebrating a birthday, promotion, or just a great meal, make each moment a Coca-Cola moment.
No one can stop me when I taste the feeling.
Available across the Cayman Islands from Tortuga Distributors. Make sure you ask for the unforgettable flavor of a classic Coca-Cola.
Hi,
I am remodeling a bathroom, I have a few questions.
Sure.
What are some ideas to make my bathroom feel larger? How do I know if I'm picking the right vanity? How do I choose a new toilet or a new countertop? Also, the lighting is terrible. Can I put a window or a skylight? And do I really need an exhaust fan?
You've come to the right place. At Brand Source, we custom design kitchen and baths, and our talented design team can help answer your questions. Whether you're looking for a modern, functional family bathroom or a luxurious personal retreat, we'll help create that beautiful space that makes your home yours. And if you're in a rush for a new look and have a limited budget, our ready-to-install bathroom vanities, built with solid wood and countertops of the finest materials, are a quick and easy remodeling solution.
For the very best in custom-designed kitchens and baths, visit Brand Source Home Gallery on Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park, Cayman's Kitchen and Bath Center.
Members of the public are reminded that the new curfew period will run nightly, 8 p.m. until 4:30 a.m. through Saturday, 6 June 2020. Adjustments will be made for the hard curfew period from Sunday, 7th June 2020 through Monday, 22nd June 2020. The curfew period will be from 10 p.m. until 4:30 a.m. daily. The new imposition of curfew order relates to Grand Cayman and Cayman Brac only. During this period of curfew, only exempted essential services personnel may be on the road, outside, and away from their residence. Social distancing requirements apply, and persons should not congregate in groups of more than 2 through Saturday, 6 June.
Satisfaction is guaranteed 24 hours a day, whether it's music or information.
From Grand Cayman to Cayman Brac to Little Cayman, we've got you covered.
You ever hear a thing like that?
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
System 1 loaded.
1-800-534-8255. What is on your mind when it comes to the government, independence, and the opposition? Issues that matter to you. 1-800-534-8255. Waiting to hear from you. For the record.
This is For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Good morning, and welcome back to For the Record. No guest in the studio yet. I want to share with you what Premier had to say on Friday's press briefing, and I'm going to have to pick various segments out of this because I don't have a whole lot of time before 8 o'clock. So he pointed out that we are currently operating at suppression level 3. At this suppression level, the mission has been to get our society and economy moving safely to allow outdoor recreation and economic activity. It is widely known that COVID-19 virus spreads more easily in enclosed environments and therefore increased rate of transmission. So this heavily guides decisions made at this level. This is why indoor venues, including places of worship and school buildings, remain closed at this time, with church services and classroom teaching happening online. As a nation, we have a lot to be thankful for as we approach an enviable position of being able to relax restrictions with no hospital admissions and no further loss of life. It has always been our primary goal to save lives, and we will continue this approach as a priority. So I come back to hope. And as I have said from the beginning, we must preserve life and health and then look to rebuild. I will forever remember the many messages of support for what we were doing and the late, great Martin Luther King. There are times when, as a people, we must accept finite disappointment, but we never lose our infinite hope. It is that spirit, in that spirit of hope and the strength of our islands and our people, all of our people, which has brought us thus far and will pull us through. He goes on to talk about, I'm pleased, it is why today I am pleased to announce an expansion of the allowed activities within the current level 3 moderate suppression because when he was speaking, we're still in level 3 suppression phase, which will allow more outdoor recreational activities, limited gatherings with friends and loved ones in public places, carefully manage additional economic activities such as outdoor dining and other businesses which will safely help our country reunite and get back to work. That said, our private homes have been and should continue to be the safest place for us to be, and so gatherings in or visits to other households are not permitted. Alongside the careful reopening of the country while maintaining physical distancing requirements and other measures to help keep us safe, we will also continue our testing and will continue to carefully monitor the spread of the virus in the community to ensure that community transmission continues to be low. All of us, however, have a part to play in this, and we must remain vigilant and continue to keep yourselves and others safe by practicing physical distancing, maintaining face and hand hygiene, and carefully considering if and when to participate in optional activities outside the home. We cannot yet become complacent. The virus is still amongst us. If we continue to have the successes we are having to suppress the virus, then the plan is for us to move to level 2, minimal suppression on the 22nd of June, which will then see a further easing of restrictions and continued expanded provisions under the guidance of the level 3 mission, and of course the advice of our medical experts. We hope to reach a critical threshold of 25% of our population being tested in the next 3 weeks. We are currently at around 16%. We anticipate that at level 2, minimal suppression, the risk of the virus will be low enough that there will be an unlocking of high interaction and high touch business and services, a gradual increase in public gatherings, and perhaps more significantly, the return of external childcare in the home. I am sure this will come to the relief of many parents and guardians who have been working at home while homeschooling. I am sure many children will also be very excited to see their nannies and helpers again. Very quickly, I believe I can do one more paragraph before that. Also at level 2 minimal suppression, which we hope to get to on the 22nd of June, we can also look forward to the possibility of changing our everyday environment by supporting our domestic tourism, our domestic tourism industry with staycation. Over the next few weeks, those and other activities will be reviewed to ensure that when the public health situation permits us, we will be ready and able to move forward. And after that, then he pointed out the prevention, control, and suppression of COVID-19 changes from the 1st of June 2020. And so the basic premise under the need for these regulations remains the same. That is to prevent and control and suppress the spread of the virus. Persons should remain at home unless you fall into one of the exempted categories that allows you to be out and about and undertake certain activities. However, as you heard, there are some further softenings of the restrictions, some starting on the 1st of June and others starting on the 7th of June. And these are as follows. We have to take our news break at 8 o'clock. When we return, hopefully, by then, I think we will have our guests. If not, I will continue to share this with you until we connect with our guests. Folks, please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back immediately after the 8 o'clock news.
Thank you, Mr. Connor. And studio time now by Foster's is 8 o'clock. It's time to start preparing for this year's hurricane season, and Foster's has the essentials you need. Stock up on canned goods, non-perishable foods, health and first aid items, and other hurricane kit essentials. Start preparing using our 2020 Hurricane Guide with our emergency checklist, local shelters information, storm tracking, and evacuation procedures. Our guide can be found at fosters.ky and follow Foster's Cayman on social media for tips throughout the season.
Your voice, your choice for today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
With your latest news, I'm Carsley Fuller. Cayman has experienced a significant reduction in crime during the period of the lockdown. The police commissioner says crime, excluding COVID instances, has been reduced by 33% compared to the same period in 2019. Commissioner Burns says this is a snapshot of where Cayman currently is and the impact of both the hard and soft curfew regulations.
Violent crime has reduced by 25% compared to the same period for 2019. Burglary has reduced by 63% compared to the same period in 2019. Robbery has reduced by 89% compared to the same period for 2019. And theft has reduced by 62% compared to the same period in 2019.
However, though crime has been reduced, speeding continues to be a community concern. Between May 15th through the 29th, 440 motorists were issued with tickets with a top speed registered at 102 miles per hour. In the wake of the pandemic, one of the issues people are now experiencing because of the social distancing or self-quarantine situation is cabin fever.
Cabin fever is a common term around here, and it means the reaction to being isolated or confined for an extended period of time. Some of the common symptoms of cabin fever are lethargy, sadness or depression, trouble concentrating, lack of patience, food cravings, decreased motivation, difficulty walking, frequent napping, and hopelessness.
Minister for Health, the Honorable Dwayne Seymour, says these symptoms may also be suggestive of a wide range of other disorders. However, if anyone is experiencing any of these symptoms, you're encouraged to contact the mental health hotline on 1-800-534-MIND. That's 1-800-534-6463 for free and confidential advice. And the Cayman government is boosting the regulatory framework for financial services through legislation pertaining to exempted limited partnerships. The Exempted Limited Partnership Regulations 2020 was gazetted on May 22nd and took immediate effect. And under the regulations, exempted limited partnerships will receive a reduction in registration fees. Specifically, the fee reduction applies to ELPs registered with the Registrar of ELPs, which falls under the General Registry Department, that are formed for the purpose of being regulated by the Cayman Islands Monetary Authority. The Ministry of Financial Services is also conducting a brief industry consultation on the proposed Exempted Limited Partnership Amendment Bill, which wrapped up today. This bill seeks to include the Private Funds Law 2020 to the list of regulatory laws under which an ELP can be regulated. Furthermore, it will clarify the deregistration process for those ELPs regulated by CIMA, and where an ELP requests to be deregistered by the registrar in order to register in another jurisdiction, that will first need to be green-lighted by CIMA now. Once the consultation has been completed, the bill will be gazetted and then presented to the Minister of Financial Services at the next available meeting of the Legislative Assembly. Now with a check of international news, here's the BBC, which will take us out of the newscast. I'm Carsley Fuller from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
BBC News with Jerry Smith. The United States is grappling with another night of growing protests sparked by the death of George Floyd in police custody. The violence has spread to more than 75 cities in what many are describing as the country's worst racial and civil unrest since the 1960s. Correspondents say there's widespread concern about a lack of de-escalation tactics by law enforcement. In some places, media crews have been targeted. There are growing calls for Donald Trump to address the nation after almost a week of protests. His national security advisor has said that the president speaks to the country daily in other ways. In recent tweets, Mr. Trump has blamed left-wing groups for the unrest and has continued his attacks on the media. China says it might retaliate after the United States started a process to remove Hong Kong's special trade and financial status in response to a new national security law. The Trump administration said it no longer views Hong Kong as separate from the rest of China. Hong Kong police have refused permission for the territory's annual candlelit vigil commemorating the Tiananmen Square crackdown in Beijing. It'll be the first time in 30 years there'll be no public gathering there. Iran has recorded its highest daily count of new coronavirus infections in 2 months. In the past 24 hours, it registered almost 3,000 new cases. Long queues have formed outside shops selling alcohol in South Africa as restrictions on its sale are lifted for the first time in 2 months. People cheered as buyers emerged clutching their bottles. A city near the Japanese capital Tokyo has proposed banning the use of smartphones while walking, in a first for the country. Officials in Yamato want to raise awareness because of a growing number of accidents caused by pedestrians glued to their phones. BBC News.
Stay in touch with Radio Cayman for the latest in news and information.
Follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, www.radiocayman.gov.ky.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice, your radio.
Join us every evening at 6:59 p.m. for the Time Check Salute in Cayman-kind style
with the blowing of the conch shell.
As the Cayman Islands community extends their appreciation to all of the frontline staff who are working to keep our islands safe and functioning during these challenging times.
You may be home isolating, but your taste buds can explore the world. Dragon Inn Restaurant in Countryside Plaza, offering savory dishes in traditional, authentic, American, Szechuan, Mandarin, Filipino cuisine, and Cantonese style, made fresh daily. Family dinner specials, rich in taste with no MSG. Choose from stir fry, chop suey, chow mein, sweet and sour, and so much more. Call 947-1166. Pick up Monday to Saturday from 10:30 a.m. until 7 p.m. Delivery 7 days per week until 9 p.m. Dragon Inn Restaurant and Countryside Plaza. Daily lunch specials and combinations, bringing international deliciousness to your doorstep. Call 947-1166 to place your order.
During these unprecedented times, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the Cayman Strong Series. The Cayman Strong Series is brought to you by Encourse Cayman. Visit encourse.ky to view a full list of wellness services and their qualified team. Encourse Cayman, health, wellness, and happiness.
Change your thinking, change your life, inspire others to bring out the leader in you.
By the words of motivational speaker and author Simon Sinek, author of Leaders Eat Last, Why Some Teams Pull Together and Others Don't. If your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, you are a leader.
Change your thinking, change your life.
Radio Cayman's Cayman Strong Series was brought to you by Encourse Cayman. Visit encourse.ky to view a full list of wellness services and their qualified team. Encourse Cayman, health, wellness, and happiness.
These days, feelings of loneliness, anxiety, stress, and depression can be overwhelming. Just know you are not alone. Encourse Cayman offers private mental health services for children, teens, adults, and groups. Visit encourse.ky to view a full list of wellness services and their qualified team. Encourse Cayman, health, wellness, and happiness.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Planning a meeting, event, or office celebration? Visit subway.ky to place your catering order today.
Subway is helping to keep Cayman safe by limiting store openings and hours, offering curbside pickup and delivery right to your door. With 3 locations currently open to serve you: Anderson Square in Georgetown, Centennial Towers in West Bay, and Countryside Shopping Village in Savannah. Subway is open from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. on soft curfew days. Free delivery for orders with a minimum $20 purchase. Delivery times only from 10 a.m. until 3 p.m. Subway, helping you to enjoy your favorite foods in the safest way possible.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Planning a meeting, event, or office celebration? Visit subway.ky to place your catering order today.
Your Radio Cayman 6 p.m. news, Monday through Friday, is brought to you by Logic. Your life connected.
Helping children cope during this pandemic is important. Remember, dealing with the outbreak calmly provides your child with the best support. Lead by example and take care of your needs too. To support your child, listen and acknowledge their fears and questions. Provide clear information and be aware of your own reactions. Help children by creating new routines, limiting their exposure to media, and encouraging them to talk about what they've seen and heard. For free and confidential support, call the Mental Health Helpline weekdays from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. at 1-800-534-MIND. That's 1-800-534-6463.
Fishing is permitted between the hours of 5:15 a.m. and 7 p.m. through Saturday, 6th June. Starting Sunday, 7th June, the restriction on the use of boats for fishing will be relaxed in Grand Cayman and Cayman Brac and will permit fishing between the hours of 4:45 a.m. and 9 p.m. each day of the week, including Sunday, but no more than 6 persons may be on a boat. In Cayman Brac, boats may also be used for leisure during these times, but inter-island travel by boat is not permitted. No fishing, no boating or congregating is being permitted at Stingray City, Starfish Point, Rum Point, or the Sandbar. This means that a person may not anchor any boat, exercise on the beach, fish or swim, or carry out any activities in any of those areas. This restriction does not impact beachside residents exercising at those locations.
From district to district, moving through the waters to Cayman Brac and Little Cayman. Your station, your voice. All things Cayman. One radio, many people. This is home.
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system. For information that matters. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. As promised, we have the Honorable Joseph Hugh, Minister of Commerce, Planning and Infrastructure on the line. The Minister will be giving us an update on policies, initiatives within the Ministry of Commerce, Planning and Infrastructure during this period, COVID period as well. Of course, his ministry will plays a very important and integral role in the continuation of commerce and industry in the Cayman Islands, and of course, even more so when we come out of the various protocols that we're in as well. So without any further ado, Minister Hugh, good morning, sir. Welcome to For the Record, and we trust that you and your family are doing fine.
Good morning, Mr. Connor. How are you today?
I'm fine, thanks.
And a good morning to the listening public. Yes, very blessed, and just like all of us here in the Cayman Islands, as we look at the news around the world, once again, we feel that despite the hardships that many of us are going through and the struggles and the uncertainties, we certainly today can still feel that sense of safety here in the Cayman Islands and the sense of gratefulness that we are not encountering some of the things that we see despite the pandemic going on around the world from the news. So I'm very thankful. My family is all well, and I hope that yours are as well, and you're getting in a few miles on the bike.
Thank you. Yes, sir. Certainly are.
Great. So thank you for having me on this morning. We have, as a government, have been quite busy. Things happen, Mr. Connor, as you probably would have heard, is, the situation is extremely liquid. And, things change by the hour. Things have settled a little at the moment, but there was a time where we were all on standby until the wee hours of the morning, and decisions had to be made quite quickly, and things, what we thought was the situation at midday turned out to be something completely different at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and we had to adjust. But we are doing our best as far as trying to operate as normal as usual, and providing the services that our citizens require to continue their everyday lives as much as they possibly can during these difficult times.
Certainly.
So we are, I guess, let me just give you we'll start with a quick update, an overview on what many of the subjects under my ministry have been doing. And we'll start with the Cayman Islands Center for Business Development. And you may remember we were very excited about this, and this certainly was one of my main objectives, or one of my key objectives in the ministry as far as local commerce was concerned, was to develop a real hand-holding agency for small and micro businesses, not just new businesses, but existing businesses. We saw a real need for that here on the island, or in the three islands. We consulted with the business community and understood that there were difficulties in particular in the environment prior to COVID, and we'll talk a lot about prior to COVID, or before COVID, during COVID, and after COVID.
Yes.
But before COVID, we certainly saw an environment where goods and services had become quite difficult to obtain, expensive from a small business perspective, in particular accounting services, HR services, marketing services. So we really saw the need to develop this agency that would assist new and existing small and micro businesses to develop and grow their businesses. We also understood that there was a real difficulty in receiving funding. As at that time, the commercial lending institutions were doing quite well otherwise, and as usual, and over a period of time, the funding of small businesses were always considered a tremendous risk for the commercial institutions, because the small business don't have the sort of supporting mechanisms that larger businesses would have, i.e. your accounting services and your HR services. So we developed the Center for Business Development to become a real hand-holding agency that would assist small and micro businesses in getting started or developing their business, including assisting them to the point where we could recommend them to the commercial lending institutions that these are our clients. This is the progress they have made. We believe they are ready to grow their business and require your services. And we heard back from those institutions that across the Caribbean and around in the United States in particular, the lending institutions feel fairly confident when they offer loans to small businesses that are a part of a small business development center, such as the Cayman Islands Center for Business Development.
Okay, got you.
So we were ready to open. We had a date in March, I think, to have a grand opening. The actual physical location is a portion of the old HSBC Bank. They are in the what we used to call the Merrin's Plaza, I guess, across from the wharf. And so we were fully equipped. We also had, I think, 24 cubicles in there that people could actually operate their micro businesses from there, have access to state-of-the-art photocopiers, printers, scanners, and could actually operate in these cubicles, as well as signing up for all of the classes, the hand-holding programs that we had in place. So when COVID-19 hit, and the reality was that we were not going to be doing business as usual, the team quickly transitioned into a business continuity form of organization to offer small and micro businesses assistance in this very difficult time in making tough decisions about their future and how to prepare themselves best for post-COVID and coming out of this pandemic. So they have been working very hard. They've had several teleconferences and virtual meetings. Their webinars have attracted, in each occasion, over 75 people. They've had, I think, 4 of those so far, covering various different aspects of business continuity and recovery, etc. We also then quickly transitioned them into an agency to assist with the COVID-19 support for business relief measures for businesses. We, in total, voted in cabinet for $14,521,000 in the form of various programs. The low-interest loan program, $5 million, which is in partnership with the Cayman Islands, the CIDB, Cayman Islands Development Bank, and then the technical assistance programs, which we have $500,000 voted for. This again have been some of these webinars that we're doing, as well as offering technical assistance, professional technical assistance to applicants who are applying for, in particular, the CIDB loan program. And I want to just say that we have to appreciate that CIDB is a financial institution that falls under that is licensed and monitored by the
Monetary
Authority. And so they have certain rules that they have to abide by in issuing loans and transacting business. So we have put the Cayman Islands Center for Business Development as the agency in the forefront to assist people to prepare the necessary documentation that's required by the CIDB and the regulators that govern them.
Got you.
We have $500,000 that we use for that, as well as various training programs. We have the micro and small business grant, which the cabinet had approved, $9 million, and that is for small and micro businesses. That and just to go back to say that the loan program, Mr. Connor, for small businesses, you can borrow up to $20,000. For medium-sized businesses, it's up to $50,000 at 1% interest.
Wow.
Guaranteed for the first year, and the loan will not begin to you are not required to make payments to either principal or interest until January 2021. So if you were to get the loan today, you do not start making payments until interest or principal until January 2021, and at a rate of 1% interest.
Okay, Minister, if I could interrupt you for a second, the grant program, is that the same one? There was some reports that was undersubscribed, but the the number of requests now have increased. Was there some issue initially with that process?
So first of all, what I just spelled out is the loan program that's in partnership with the Cayman Islands Development Bank. And I was getting into the micro and small business grants program, which is, yes, that is $1,000 a month for 3 months, up to 3 months, initially, to assist small and micro businesses with getting through the lockdown period in particular, and until we can see the economy start to grow back, and then we continue to analyze the situation and assist those that require assistance. The one main stipulation in that, Mr. Connor, was that we are first focusing, and we are focusing on businesses that have the ability to transition from a 100% tourism or heavily tourism-focused clientele to a local clientele. Those that were 100% tourism-focused, we have seen some of the assistance that the Ministry of Tourism have done, and I know that they're working on further programs. They are now have a campaign asking persons to register with them.
Yes.
So they're being handled separately. Our focus has been on trying to assist those businesses to survive that have that can survive the shutdown and the pandemic, to get to the other side and continue on. If you are 100% tourism focused, as we know, is several months away and will take quite a bit longer to come back than the local economy, then we try to direct those persons either personally to the government assistance programs under the Need Assessment Unit, or on to the Ministry of Tourism.
Okay.
So we were undersubscribed, or what I felt certainly was undersubscribed initially, until I gave the figures at the press conference a week or two ago. And now we've seen a tremendous uptick. I believe to be, in what I have seen and the feedback I've gotten, Mr. Connor, it seems as if when persons looked, there may be some confusion between the loan program and the grant program. And then when persons looked at the requirement initially online, or when they spoke to one of the staffers and got the requirement, they were discouraged from applying. So I would like to this morning say to everyone who has a valid trade and business license. Now, for I'm going to leave the last thing on the loans program is the CIDB law, the Cayman Islands Development Bank law, does not allow them to loan money to anyone other than 100% Caymanian-owned. Caymanians or 100% Caymanian-owned businesses.
Okay.
So that is a criteria, but we'll put that aside and go to the grants, because I think this is where the real opportunity for some, in particular, micro businesses are. The requirements are primarily that you have had a trade and business license or license under another recognized authority, or this was an issue, Mr. Connor, we resolved that, or you have been operating, but you are you do not require a trade and business license. So there are certain cottage industries, that we call them, that are exempt from trade and business licensing.
Okay.
So you've been operating for 12 months. You have a valid trade and business license. Those are the two main points, the two main prerequisites that we require for the grants program. Everything else my team will and should be able to help you with. So if you say, gosh, I don't have any financials, then we can get you help with that. Or you say, gosh, I don't have a business plan or anything, that we can get over those things. So, we understand that when persons first look at the requirements, they can seem daunting. But just the mere fact that the Center for Business Development was intended to be a real hand-holding agency speaks to the fact that we do not want to turn any eligible person away.
Okay. Minister Hill, we're going to take a break, but when we return, I think the last statement that you made there in terms of the fact that you don't want to turn any eligible person away is how do you go about emphasizing to people that this money has been allocated for certain purposes and you haven't put it there just for window dressing. That money is there to be used, and you have pointed out that if there are some obstacles in the way that can be removed to make it run smoother, that is being done as well. So how do you convince people that money is there? We want you to have it. We're going to help you to try to qualify, for it as well. We'll have you address that as soon as we return from this commercial break. Folks, please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
We all know there's nothing more refreshing than the taste of an ice-cold Coca-Cola straight from the cooler.
No one can stop me when I taste the feeling.
Whether we're celebrating a birthday, promotion, or just a great meal, make each moment a Coca-Cola moment.
No one can stop me when I taste the feeling.
Available across the Cayman Islands from Tortuga Distributors. Make sure you ask for the unforgettable flavor of a classic Coca-Cola.
Fidelity Bank would like to thank all essential workers. We salute your efforts and thank you for the sacrifices you've made to keep us all safe. During these challenging times we're facing, our top priority is the health and safety of the communities we serve. And while it's true that things are changing rapidly every day, one thing that will never change is our commitment to giving you the best and sound financial solutions to help you during and after the coronavirus pandemic. At Fidelity Bank, our focus will always be you. Fidelity, we're good for you.
Dear parents and guardians, we deeply care about our students and understand the challenges you may now face during these unprecedented times.
We want you to know that we are committed to ensuring that your child's education continues
and that you are not alone. We are doing everything we can to make sure no child is left behind.
But to do so, we need your help to get connected and stay connected with you and your child. So reach out to us and speak with us
about how we can best support you and your needs. Working hand in hand with you is the only way to secure our children's future.
We are in this together.
A message from the Edna Moyle, Georgetown, Theoline McCoy, Savannah, and West End Primary Schools.
Members of the public are reminded that the new curfew period will run nightly, 8 p.m. until 4:30 a.m. through Saturday, 6 June 2020. Adjustments will be made for the hard curfew period from Sunday, 7th June 2020 through Monday, 22nd June 2020. The curfew period will be from 10 p.m. until 4:30 a.m. daily. The new imposition of curfew order relates to Grand Cayman and Cayman Brac only. During this period of curfew, only exempted essential services personnel may be on the road outside and away from their residence. Social distancing requirements apply, and persons should not congregate in groups of more than 2 through Saturday, 6 June.
System 1 loaded.
1-800-534-8255. What is on your mind when it comes to the government, independence, and the opposition? Issues that matter to you. 1-800-534-8255. Waiting to hear from you. For the Record.
This is For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. We have on the line with us the Honorable Joseph Hugh, Minister with responsibility for commerce, planning, and infrastructure in the Cayman Islands. Minister Hugh, go right ahead, sir.
Good morning. Yes, when we left OC, we were talking about the small business grants program that affords you at this time $1,000 a month up to 3 months initially. So I was just saying that we certainly do not want to turn back any eligible business from these grants.
Right.
We want to do everything that we can help to assist them in receiving this funding. And as you put it, we didn't vote these monies as window dressing. And I just said to my team on Friday or Wednesday last week, in fact, that I would prefer that we be accused of 1 or 2 people that didn't deserve it getting the grants than to be accused of no one getting it.
Yes.
So this is where we are, and I use the word eligible because I gave you some criteria earlier, as well as we've had, there's a few, you have to have guidelines and you have to have rules and everything you do. And there were a few people that were quite vocal about not being able to get the assistance and stuff, but some didn't have. I know that there were a lot of people who invested in the Airbnb business and have purchased apartments with hopes of taking advantage of what was a very lucrative market at the time. And many of them did that without a trade and business license. They just bought the properties, which you're allowed to do up to 2 or 3, and they're licensed under the hotel accommodations licensees. Again, these are not. They don't really fit in the criteria of the small and medium-sized businesses that we have outlined under the law, and we try to steer those persons again to the Ministry of Tourism and some of the programs that they will be launching here in short form and have already launched. So there are some criteria that we have. Other than that, we like I said, the team have been working very, very long hours. There are many hurdles to overcome because not all of our clients have access to email and photocopiers, etc., and or scanners. And obviously, we are not allowed under the current situation to open our doors to have those persons come into the public. So as the country starts to open up slowly, we are going to start looking at perhaps having access to a particular space that's secure, that people can come in and use a photocopier or use a printer. We've already, I think the team have been trying to identify where they can do that safely. And as soon as we're allowed to do that, we will also do that. So the program has no deadline initially. We understand that this is, even in post-COVID, as we talked about, we have a long ways to go before the economy gets back to where it currently was. And so we are here for the long run. The Cayman Islands Business Development Center wasn't just set up just simply to deal with these grants. This was a program that was developed, and the focus of the ministry was that it would be here for the long term in helping to grow local small and micro businesses. So under the current situation, we have reevaluated that program. We have converted that program into a recovery type program, and we are here for the long run with the business community to rebuild post-COVID.
Excellent.
So, again, like I said, there's been webinars that persons have been taken advantage of. There have been one-on-one professional services that persons have been taken advantage of. And I would encourage everyone to please inquire and see how you can take advantage of these programs. Let me just go on, Mr. Connor, quickly to cover some of the other agencies and subjects under the Ministry of
Commerce. Sure,
Go
right ahead. Go right ahead, sir.
And so the Department of Commerce and Investment, they have been operating, and I want to thank them for their work over this period of time. In fact, not only were they operating at full steam with trade and business licensing board meeting and licenses being issued, but they also found the time to develop a chatbot on their website. If you ever have an opportunity to go on there, you can actually speak to a chatbot who will answer your questions for you. And if they cannot answer, if that chatbot can't answer your questions, it directs your question on to one of the team who will respond to you via email.
Okay.
But we also took the understanding the opportunity, the challenges. We waived the payment of trade and business license application fees for both new and renewals. That being from the 1st of May to the 31st of July, 2020, and then we will review that again. And then we also waived the late fees from the 1st of March to 31st of July as well, understanding that many people were faced with whether or not they want to, or is it worth spending my money to renew my license now when I'm not sure if I'm even going to survive this. So we also waived the late fees to give people that opportunity to make those very difficult decisions. We know that there are about 3,000 businesses that are covered during that period of time and that will take advantage of these waivers. They also continue to work, as I said, processing over 1,400 trade and business licenses since the 25th of March. Interesting information, Mr. Connor, is that of that number, 305 have been new trade and business licenses.
Wow. Okay, that's encouraging.
That's very encouraging. 1,014 were renewals and 136 were amendments, trade and business license amendments. Persons readjusting their businesses, which is one of the subjects and one of the webinars that subject areas that we've been focusing on at the Cayman Islands Business Development Center, is readjusting your businesses to take advantage of the economy at hand, or if you were heavily tourism associated, to transition into a more domestic economy. And so we saw 136 licenses being amended over that period of time. Move on to the Department of Planning. Again, as you know, today the construction industry will reopen almost in its entirety. The department, however, has been working throughout the period of time, and there's no doubt about it. We were at a boom prior to COVID, and the department had some backlog, trying to keep up with the amount of applications coming in, and it, on one hand, it showed you that we had a very healthy economy at the time, and it was a daunting task for the department to keep up with all of the business that was coming in. So during that time, the department, from up until the 13th of May, received 72 new applications for planning permissions. So that's good news as well. And 159 new applications for permits. The department performed 660 permit-related and 158 planning-related plan reviews. So again, they continued to work remotely during the period of time and carried out some 660 permit-related and 150 planning-related plan reviews. A total of 93 permits valued at approximately $23.5 million and 64 grants of planning permission valued at approximately $33 million were issued during that period. So we still saw a fairly robust period there, Mr. Connor, and we will see whether all of these projects continue, but it is still a very optimistic view or a very encouraging numbers for the planning department during the period of 25th of March 13 to March 25th to May 13. The Department of Vehicle and Driver's License has been in the news quite a bit. We've been struggling with the amount of imported vehicles over the years, and the department had been growing, or the requirements of the department have been growing quite drastically. We had some hurdles in doing things online and virtual. Due to the law, we made those amendments in the Legislative Assembly last month. And I'm happy to report that the department has seen an increase. Before, where we were doing probably less than 100 online transactions per month, Mr. Connor, we are up to 300 per a day now.
Wow, okay.
So this is something that we hope will continue post-COVID, that people will continue to take advantage of the online opportunities there with the Department of Vehicle and Driver's License, and the team there have been working very hard on strengthening and improving those capabilities, so that once we are out of this and people are allowed to move about freely again, we will hope and would like to encourage them and continue to focus on getting persons to use the online platform.
Okay, Minister, we're going to take another commercial break. We're going to ask you to please hang in there. As soon as we return from the commercial break, we will continue our conversation with you. Folks, please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
Vamped Motors encourages everyone to stay home in compliance with our government's directives, which are absolutely critical to protect our islands from the coronavirus. In light of this, Vamped Motors will be closed until our Cayman Islands government gives us the all clear to return to work. Please, everyone, be safe and let's get through this together by staying apart.
Recent worldwide events bring into focus the need for quality health care. Your life is meaningful. Your health is no laughing matter. Cayman Pharmacy Group strives to make your health their concern. Recognizing the complexities of pharmaceuticals and the need to personalize your care with one-on-one counseling. West Bay Pharmacy, Savannah Pharmacy, and CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy. Convenient quality care is just around the corner. Visit CaymanPharmacy.com for more information. Cayman Pharmacy Group, taking care of your health.
Dear students, we know that you miss your friends, being outside, and most of all, coming to school.
And we hope that you understand that everything happening right now is to keep you safe from harm.
You are our priority. You are the future. So even though this is a very tough time, we believe in you to be the leaders we know you can be.
To stay focused on doing your best work, even when no one is watching.
To be helpful and respectful to your parents and guardians at all times.
To be kind and thoughtful to everyone around
you. To always be thankful, even for the little things.
And most of all, to remember to keep in touch with us, because
we are here for you. Love your teachers.
A message from the East End, Edna Moyle, John Gray, Layman E. Scott, Red Bay, T.O. McCoy, West End, and the Lighthouse Schools.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. On the line we have the Honorable Joseph Yu, Minister responsible for Commerce, Planning and Infrastructure. I just want to say also that we still have other phone lines open. If any of our callers have any questions for the Minister, you would be prepared to entertain questions from our callers as well?
Yeah, certainly. I think once we can push through these updates, and then
So what we'll do then, after we return from our headline news at 9:00, then we can probably be in a position to take the calls from there on. How about that?
That should be good. I do have to leave at 9:30 to get into another meeting.
Sure.
You have me until then for sure.
Excellent. Okay, Minister, go right ahead, sir.
So just continuing on some of the updates. National Roads Authority, we would have all seen the work that they have been doing. The guys were eager to get back to work. Mm-hmm. There were some areas that we have been working on, North Sound Road, the Shedden Road, that we have wanted to upgrade for quite some time now, but with those being such high traffic areas, we were unable to find the opportune time to close those roads to carry out the necessary improvements without creating large-scale traffic jams. So we have taken the opportunity during the last several weeks to upgrade those surfaces. We will continue to work on those areas as far as creating, wherever we can, sidewalks and bike lanes, etc. But the main work of getting the tarmac down, we felt was important to do during this period of time where the traffic was manageable. So that was just being a little proactive there and recognizing that these streets had to be done at some point. But we wanted to do it when it would create the least amount of inconvenience to individuals. We will continue then. One of the key things now that tourism has subsided, or has come to a halt, in fact, for a period of time, we are working on getting the first phase of what we call the Airport Connector Road completed, and that will be from the Cayman Islands International School roundabout on the Estella Tibbetts Highway to Sparky Drive.
Oh wow! Okay, that should help.
So that should help with the bleeding of, and we would hope that would be used more by commercial traffic. There's quite a bit of traffic, as people know, in the Sparky Drive Industrial Park area. Yes. And we would encourage the CUCs, the concrete companies, the progressives of that area to utilize that route, taking some pressure off of the North Sound Road route, which we would hope that would be continue to be utilized by our tourism traffic rather than taking that industrial route. So that is something that once completed, we will work with the public and informing the public, to take advantage of that and allow our tourism product, our tourists to travel the less industrial route through North Sound Road onto the Esther Tibbetts Highway.
And much quicker as well.
Much quicker.
Yeah.
Of course, a lot of work is being done up in the Red Bay area. We will continue to work on those pinch points. As we see, once over the last few days, traffic has increased tremendously from where it was during the lockdown. So it won't take very long before we're back to where we were before. So we're trying to fix some of these pinch points that we know are critical. Using our traffic modeling system, we've seen the positive advantages of fixing these areas. And of course, the east-west arterial, we will push ahead in trying to complete that. In total, Mr. Connell, that ministry had planned expenditure for some $25 million in road projects for the 2020-2021 period. We will continue to work until the government deems that we will need to stop, but we see this as extremely important in the lives of our people when they return back to work on a normal basis and when tourism returns back to its former glory. These improvements, these much-needed improvements will reap its benefits at that point.
Certainly, yes.
So, also, one of my disciplines is the Connell's Public Works Department, and I can't say enough how under-recognized this department is. Most people, just like a janitor or that profession, most people don't notice or remember them until something goes wrong.
Need them, yep.
Until they need them. How thankful are we all now for those of us who have domestic helpers and supporting staff, our families, our businesses. How much we recognize that we relied on them now that we haven't been able to have them work as part of our households and our small businesses. So Public Works for the country is that agency. In the short time that I've been there, we see the tremendous work they do every year. This year, no different, during the hurricane season and in their preparedness for a disaster. When everybody is getting their homes ready and at the grocery stores, the Public Works team will be out battering up and securing the most critical of government's infrastructure and buildings, getting our all of the hurricane shelters ready. So, they will be out there at the front line. They were out there at the front line after the earthquake. They are out there in the front line now as we see the sargassum coming back in again. The Parks and Recreational team are getting ready, all being tested and getting ready to go out there and deal with the sargassum. And we saw them at the front line again when we were all at home being safe in the early stages of the COVID-19 infection. The Public Works team were out installing field hospitals and other necessary infrastructure for the health department and the health teams to battle. And thankfully we haven't had the need for them, but just to have the comfort of knowing that if we did, they're there. And I want to recognize the Public Works team for all their efforts. They were also very helpful in getting the fish market relocated.
Yes. Resounding success there. And those fishermen extremely pleased with what was done for them, sir.
Yeah, so I was very much aware of the fact that we could have had, and we saw some shortage of meat coming out of the U.S. with the issues at the processing plants and COVID-19. And, of course, many of our residents who suffer from diabetes and other diet restrictions were struggling without the access to seafood. And so when we saw the opportunity to get the commercial fishing vessels out in the beginning, because they would be out, we knew we were 7 to 14 days away from allowing fishing and being able to open up a little bit. So those boats went out for 7 to 14 days. Out at sea, and we then took the opportunity to relocate the fish market from Red Spot, or as we used to call it, down to the south terminal where the people the clients could practice social distancing and safely get access to the fish. So I want to thank the Public Works team again for their assistance there, and Mr. Charles Brown and my ministry for personally taking that project on, and I think they did a tremendous job with it.
Yes, they did.
My national energy, my ministry team on the renewable side and the supporting staff for our national energy policy, Mr. Augustine and Mr. Jakes, were also very hard at work along with Tristan Hides, and we actually recommended an off-reg, subsequently approved allocation of 700 kilowatts of the 1 megawatt consumer-owned renewable energy capacity, which is called CORE. This had previously been allocated to the government, and we decided that under the current circumstances, we would release the 700 kilowatts to the private sector. We understand that and appreciate that this will hopefully provide local jobs, and there's about 8 to 10 local businesses that participate in the solar industry.
Okay.
While it continues to help us reduce our carbon footprint. So the CORE program has been extended and given some new life to the solar companies locally, and hopefully generating some revenue within the economy, saving some residents on their utility bills, and doing our part in fighting the ever-present issues of global warming. So that is an update from my Ministry of Security. I didn't even have time to get into the rest of the government. But if you want to, we are...
Perfect timing. We're about 1 minute to 9, so we will go to our headline news. You ready for me, Miss Susan, for headline news at 9 o'clock? And when we return, Minister, we're going to open the lines as well. I think we have a few callers who want to call in. Toll-free number is open, 1-800-534-8255, 949 8037-949-6990. Folks, please stay tuned. The conversation with the Honorable Joseph Hugh, Minister with responsibility for Commerce, Planning, and Infrastructure, will continue after headline news at 9 o'clock.
Maintaining the innovation
on a daily basis, making it easy to connect with you, our listeners. Add us to WhatsApp today, 925-3261. That's 925-3261.
Radio Cayman.
Send a text or voice note.
Can I send a request, please?
You don't really have to ask us. Just send a request.
This is a shout out to my ex.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
Radio Cayman, maintaining the innovation.
Community radio with a different appeal. The voice of the people. Security through adversity. Stuck on you. Radio for all time.
You're listening to Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman.
It's only 2 species that we have here on the island.
Generations present.
Your voice, your choice.
It is in the best interest of the people of these islands.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
Government says the Cayman Islands tourism industry is preparing for a, quote, robust rebound when borders reopen by developing industry standards for sanitation. The Ministry of Tourism says that they have placed immense priority on the development of sanitation protocols adapted for Cayman's destination to provide the best possible tourism experience. The MOT says the goal is to work with industry partners for each touch point of a guest's experience to ensure a hygienic encounter once they are in Cayman. Violence has erupted in cities across the United States on the 6th night of protests sparked by the death in police custody of African-American George Floyd. Curfews have been imposed in 40 cities, but people have largely ignored them, leading to tense standoffs. Riot police have clashed with protesters in New York, Chicago, Philadelphia, and Los Angeles, firing tear gas and pepper bullets to try to disperse the crowds. George Floyd died last Monday in Minneapolis when a police officer knelt on his neck. The fired police officer who's been charged with murdering Floyd will face a court this week. Demonstrators have also set fire to properties near the White House, including a historic church called the Church of Presidents. Those are your headlines. I'm Karsley Fuller.
For the latest in news and information,
follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
Your voice, your choice, your radio.
Although the hard and soft curfew is limiting for older persons who may be missing their usual outings with family and friends, Captain Paul Hurlston of Georgetown says he's lived through more stringent privations and thinks his generation is often more self-reliant than the younger generation.
I'm doing fine. I'm keeping busy, digging up out in the yard. I try to keep active and obey all the rules. But this is nothing strange to me because, the 1944 hurricane, I've been through that. I was 13 years of age at then. Then I went through Gilbert. I went through Ivan. And now this. It's not affecting me. I'm old-fashioned, I don't have any credit card, no WhatsApp, none of the modern equipment, so I'm doing very well.
If you or someone you know needs assistance, call the Older Persons Helpline at 1-800-534-2222 today for free and confidential support. This message was brought to you by the Department of Children and Family Services.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system. For information that matters. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. We have on the line with us the Honorable Joseph Hugh, Minister with responsibility for commerce, planning and infrastructure. We have 3 callers. Before we take the call, I want to read a WhatsApp message. And this person saying, for someone like me with my business, the webinar program, I appreciate you and your team, sir. I only missed it last Thursday because of school. I am hoping for all you, advising all of you who have not joined it yet to join it. I can say so. I would... So this person is very appreciative of the webinars that they are participating in, Minister Hugh. So to our callers now, the minister has pointed out that he has to leave us at 9:30 or before 9:30. So I'm going to ask you to please be as brief and succinct as possible. Pose your question, and then you can hang up and wait for the minister to respond. First caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, Mr. O'Connor. How are you this morning?
Good morning, sir. I'm fine. How are you?
And good morning to the Honorable Minister, Mr. Hugh. I hope everybody's having a great morning and fine. God's blessings on you all.
Thank you. Same to you, sir.
Okay, I missed the first part of the talk show this morning. I'm going to want to just ask about the CICDB $3,000 grant. I was a tour operator, and of course, we don't need a trade and business license for that to operate in that capacity, being a solo driver. I was just wondering if that grant will apply to us also.
So thank you for the question. So first of all, the $3,000, the $1,000 a month grant is from the Cayman Islands Business Development Center. The loans are from the Cayman Islands Development Bank, CIDB. So the grant, as a tour operator, if you initially, and like I said, yes, you're licensed under the public transport law. We have been asking you to register with the Department of Tourism and the Ministry of Tourism for the programs that they have done and will be doing. If you are planning to transition into a local economy, so if you're going to transition you into taxi or into public transport or otherwise, and you're going to make that transition, then we can assist you there, yes. But we are asking those that are 100% reliant on the tourism industry to keep in contact. And right now, the ministry has a campaign asking everyone in that industry to register with the ministry. I can actually tell you where it's. We'll just give me 1 second. I'll look up the I think you go to ourcayman.ky. So that's ourcayman.ky. And they have a section there called Displaced Tourism Employees. Those are all of the areas that's the programs that will be available for the tourism-related businesses.
Okay. Caller,
Okay.
I trust that answered your question. Let's go to the next caller. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Morning, OC.
Good morning. How are you, sir?
Not too bad. Roger Marin here.
Yes.
Joe, I was just listening to that guy, but that guy does not realize, I guess, that the deadline for what he wants to do, or you tell him about, was last night, 12 o'clock.
Or was it? I didn't know that either, Roger.
Well, I'm telling you, because I put mine in from last week, Monday, but it's been in circulation on phones, I mean, through the social media.
I guess
the deadline was 11:59 p.m. last night.
So I would suggest to him then to reach out direct to the ministry or to the Department of Tourism and see if he can get his submitted somehow. I'm sure they won't refuse him.
Right. Anyway, I called to remind you about something. I don't know whether it was last election or the election before, when you were campaigning to get in or to run to get a seat. I remember you talking about. I can make this fast. I remember you talking about the work situation in Cayman, and you were saying that we got 20 to 25,000 work permits out there, but yet we're spending $60 million a year on NAU. I remember you campaigning and saying that, as I listen a lot, and I don't forget certain things. But since you've been in office, it's worse. There's more work permits, and now you got NAU probably $80 million a year instead of 60. And I like to advise people on common sense things. Basically, I always said, let's get rid of this $6 minimum wage.
Caller, we don't have a time for statements. Just a question or the point, please.
I'm almost done.
Okay.
I want to say get a better minimum wage, get rid of some permits, and let's get people on jobs instead of nagging NAU and get some price control going here, because that's what we need.
Okay.
We need price control.
Thank you, caller. Minister, you want to respond?
Yeah, certainly. Roger and I often chat and have good, robust discussions. I thought he was calling to give me a hard time about the airport connector road, because I've been promising him that. I think I may be wrong, but I believe what he was speaking about was my views on the prison and versus persons working and making a living or paying $70,000 to keep them at the prison. Mm-hmm. Either way. But I will say to him that yes, work permits went up, but our unemployment for Caymanians prior to COVID-19 was at an all-time low of, I think it was 2.7%. So, the issues that we see at NAU and in our health department, in the Ministry of Health and our funding for the most vulnerable is that we are an aging society, and also it's the instance of the cost of medical services on the island and overseas that constantly create issues for us, and something that we have to focus, or whoever in the future will have to continue to focus on dealing with pensioners and rising cost of medical care. So I thank him for the call, and I agree with him. If we can get people back to work, if we can have people working and making their own living rather than relying on the government, I'm 100% in support of that happening, for sure.
Okay. We have another caller, but before we go to that caller, Minister, one person WhatsApped and wanted to know as far as the licensing of, they say registration of a company, I believe they may mean licensing. If you wanted to amend that license, whether or not there will be a cost for that, or whether or not that fee is waived as well.
The registration of the company.
I think they probably mean a trade and business license. Let's say, for instance, if they have a trade and business license, but they want to do a certain type of business now, but they want to change that, whether or not there's a cost for that. I believe you said all fees are waived, really.
Waived until
Yes.
31st of July, yes.
Yes, okay. Let's grab the next caller. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning, sir.
Just real quick, Minister, first of all, I would like to echo that big thanks for the NRA. I mean, it's fantastic with the new roads there and great job. So definitely a lot of people are very happy about that. But the main question I'm calling about is land and survey. I'm in the business of development, and I have a number of clients who would like to proceed with projects that, and therefore very good for the economy, that haven't been applied for yet, but we can't do it because we cannot get information to notify adjacent properties. So if we could find out when we would have access to land information for land and survey, that would be greatly appreciated. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, caller. Minister?
Let me say to the caller, first of all, just as a matter of clarity, the lands and survey is not a part of this ministry. It used to be previous to this government, but it's not a part of our ministry, but we do work very close together. There should be availability to lands and survey. They had some issues. I'm aware of that. I know that the minister and the deputy governor is aware, and there is no reason why he should not be able to contact them now and get services. But if he still has an issue, I think that the caller had my email, but it's joey.hugh@gov.ky. I'm in office most days of the week, and if I have to walk down there to find someone, I can certainly get some responses to his request.
Excellent. Thank you very much for that, Minister. We don't have any calls now. We're going to take a commercial break. When we return, I want to give you an opportunity. We'll close the phone lines back off now because I want to give you an opportunity to wrap up any closing comments, any additional advice that you want to give to our listeners as well. Folks, please stay tuned. For the Record, we'll be back shortly.
Recent worldwide events bring into focus the need for quality health care. Your life is meaningful. Your health is no laughing matter. Cayman Pharmacy Group strives to make your health their concern. Recognizing the complexities of pharmaceuticals and the need to personalize your care with one-on-one counseling. West Bay Pharmacy, Savannah Pharmacy, and CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy. Convenient quality care is just around the corner. Visit CaymanPharmacy.com for more information. Cayman Pharmacy Group, taking care of your health.
Fidelity Bank would like to thank all essential workers. We salute your efforts and thank you for the sacrifices you've made to keep us all safe. During these challenging times we're facing, our top priority is the health and safety of the communities we serve. And while it's true that things are changing rapidly every day, one thing that will never change is our commitment to giving you the best and sound financial solutions to help you during and after the coronavirus pandemic. At Fidelity Bank, our focus will always be you. Fidelity, we're good for you.
All travel is restricted between the 3 Cayman Islands. Anyone wishing to move between the islands must first notify the medical officer of health or director of the Sister Islands Health Services. They must also undergo a 14-day mandatory isolation period at a government facility, as well as mandatory testing. Following a negative test at the end of isolation, they will be transported directly to the airport. For more information, go to www.gov.ky/coronavirus.
The hurricane season is here. Are you ready? If not, now is the time to prepare. Follow Water Authority on social media for useful hurricane preparedness tips and important customer service announcement throughout the 2019 hurricane season. You can also download free hurricane preparedness brochures from the Water Authority's website at www.waterauthority.ky. Be aware, be safe, be prepared.
Shaken yet standing firm.
I was not built to break.
This is Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
Members of the public are reminded that the new curfew period will run nightly, 8 p.m. until 4:30 a.m. through Saturday, 6 June 2020. Adjustments will be made for the hard curfew period from Sunday, 7th June 2020 through Monday, 22nd June 2020. The curfew period will be from 10 p.m. until 4:30 a.m. daily. The new imposition of curfew order relates to Grand Cayman and Cayman Brac only. During this period of curfew, only exempted essential services personnel may be on the road, outside, and away from their residence. Social distancing requirements apply, and persons should not congregate in groups of more than 2 through Saturday, 6 June.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matter. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. On the line we have the Honorable Joseph Few, Minister with responsibility for commerce, commerce planning and infrastructure. I'm giving you one more subject there, Minister.
Yeah, no, thank you. No,
Hope that wasn't a Freudian slip. And we have about maybe 12 minutes left because he has to leave us at 9:30. And again, I want to thank him very much for making himself available this morning. Go right ahead, Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Connor. It certainly was a pleasure being on. We'll continue. None of these programs are slated to expire anytime soon. We completely, and I certainly understand that this is, not the end of the road by any means. Even when, from a health perspective, the country opens up entirely, it doesn't mean that we are recovered from an economic perspective. We have a long ways to go in that, and this government is committed to assisting our people and our businesses in navigating that path. I read the other day that we are certainly all not in the same boat, but we're in the same storm. Mm-hmm. So we have to assist each other in navigating this storm. One of the things I just wanted to touch on briefly, and I'm sure I'll be able to come back on a later date and talk a lot more about it, is that I've created within our ministry an economic advisory council. And what we've done is, from that council, we have created advisory boards. These are made up of members of the government and the public and private sector. And these boards, they were appointed last week before last, just started to meet last week in the various economic groups, including tourism and hospitality, technology, infrastructure, financial institutions, retail outlets and others, and social services, social and healthcare services, and development and construction clusters. And these clusters have a mandate of focusing not on the recovery, the immediate today opening of the economy, but the recovery down the road from COVID-19. And we're talking about 6 months, a year, 2 years, 5 years. And in fact, also in the mandate is to ensure that we as a country are better prepared to face the next crisis. We saw our shortcomings on the connectivity side of things and all of the issues we faced, like this morning when I was trying to get on and using the program on the station. But to be better prepared, and if we see all of the wins that have come out of this already, when we talked about the Department of Vehicle and Driver's License, their online presence, we see that under my ministry, one of the subjects that shines through this is Department of Commerce investment, because they were so far ahead on their online platforms and their offerings. And now, even during the COVID-19 crisis, they launched their chatbot, which is quite unique. If you have an opportunity to go on the website, I have to do so and click on the chatbot, and she'll answer all your questions you have, and if not, it'll direct it to someone to email you. And they're quite efficient, because I received an email from the chatbot because someone asked a question that fell within the ministry. And I received the message on my email from the chatbot to respond to it.
Wow.
So yeah, we see all of these things. We talk about infrastructure. Is this a good time now as we rebuild and the traffic isn't as heavy, just to fix some roads, but is it time for us to start looking at in greater depth and thinking outside of the box, coloring outside of the lines in the public transport sphere. We talk about, we've always talked about, do we need another fiber optic cable into the country? These are some of the infrastructure things and some of the weaknesses that have been exposed during this period of time. And so we want to ensure that we recover not just as strong as we were before, but even smarter, even wiser, and even better prepared for the next crisis, if and when that ever comes.
Okay, Minister, speaking of roads, one of our listeners has sent us a WhatsApp and says, can we ask you if there are any plans in the current road works program to extend Reverend Blackman Road in West Bay to connect to the Esther Tibbetts Highway?
Not immediately, no.
Okay.
That certainly was not in this budget. There is a connectivity. Once a police station has been built in West Bay, then we would connect. Well, yeah, that is Reverend Blackman. Yes. There are plans. But that's reliant on the building of the new police station.
Got you. And we have one voice note as well that we're going to play for you, if you can accommodate that before you leave, Susan.
Is my company I want to change the name of it because I'm trying to do a transition as I'm in the webinar program, and I want to find out if there is a cost to do it now as my business is closed down and I don't have any money, or everything is waived for both company and license. I know I filled out a form for the grant as the expense of the business is piling up, but I haven't get approved as yet, so I'm still waiting. But I want to transit my businesses, not the beauty salon, but the other businesses that are affected by it, by the COVID, to see if I can. And I'm learning more since I'm in the program. But that's just my question, to find out if there's a cost for the general registry of company. I know the late fee waived, but I don't know if the immediate fee is waived also.
Yeah, Minister, I think that I may have asked that question already. Yeah.
I see that she's talking about the company registrar. I am not aware of whether or not they are waiving fees, but if I were her, I would keep the same company and just do a trade and business license, trading as.
Yes.
Would be the easier way to do that than to change her company her name in the register.
Okay.
But she can certainly use the same company and trade as something else. So that would be my advice there.
Sure. You still have the mic, Minister. Go right ahead, sir.
Thank you. So I was just finishing up to say that, you know, on the title of the advisory council deck is "Never let a good crisis go to waste," a quote from Winston Churchill. So that is what we're doing. We're hoping that this will become a real partnership between the public and the private sector in developing a bit of a roadmap and a way towards bringing Cayman back to its former glory, but even stronger and in a much more informed position. So other than that, Mr. Connor, I just want to say to everyone, certainly on behalf of our government, we thank everyone for their patience and their assistance and their cooperation. So far, I think we, as the Cayman Islands, are in a very unique position, and a lot of fantastic suggestions are coming out from the private sector on how we restart tourism and how we get our economy back, and we thank everyone for those. But the good news is that we are now in a position to talk about those things because we have put in the hard work and we have made the sacrifices. And now that we're at this point, we do not want to become complacent. We do not want to have to revert back to where we were 6 or 8 weeks ago. So we must continue to be vigilant and continue to be disciplined. But we are excited and we continue to welcome suggestions and support from the general public on the way forward. But the good news is that we are on the horizon. We can see the end of the rainbow, and we just need to remain focused. And some of us, unfortunately, and I can appreciate that it's much easier said than done, continue to be patient as we get to the point where they can resume their businesses and start to make a living for themselves. I know it's a very, very difficult time, and it's very hard to ask persons to do this, but this is where we are. The good news is that we're this far. We're over the curve. We're heading towards the end of the rainbow, and we just ask everyone to remain patient with us and cooperative as we get there. So, other than that, OC, I thank you, and I wish for you and the staff at Radio Cayman, for your families to remain safe and for good health.
Thank you, sir.
And to the general public, again, thank you all for your understanding, your patience, and your cooperation over the last couple of months, and we look forward to that continuing as we move forward as a country in defeating this pandemic as far as we're concerned here in the Cayman Islands.
Thank you very much, sir, and we want to thank you also for your service to the people of the Cayman Islands.
Thank you, Mr. Connor. God bless.
Okay, Miss Susan, you want to take a commercial break now? I have some stuff I can share in the meantime. There's an article in the Jamaica Gleaner, and this is important. Borders to reopen to nationals tomorrow. That was yesterday's Gleaner. That is today. Entry for international travels on the 15th of June. And the article reads, the government is to reopen the country's ports of entry for the repatriation of Jamaicans tomorrow and to international travelers on June 15th. The announcement was made to tourism stakeholders in a letter signed by Minister of Tourism Edmund Bartlett. The announcement comes as Jamaicans head back to work today, and various agencies of the state resume operations on a phased basis. And it also pointed out that the Prime Minister, Andrew Holness, would give an update to Jamaica on the Disaster Risk Management Act later on yesterday as well. And if I get an opportunity, I will share that with you also. Miss Susan, ready for that break now? Folks, please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly. We still have half an hour left. The phone lines will remain open if you have any calls, questions, comments as well. Folks, please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
Our fridge has stopped working again. Everything in the freezer is melting. We need to get this repaired right away. I'm calling Brand Source Service.
When you need the very best appliance service, call Brand Source Service at 623-5000. Offering service and installation of all brands and models of appliances. Brand Source Service is Cayman's source for appliance parts and repairs, with qualified and experienced technicians and the island's largest stock of appliance parts. Brand Source Service will have your repair completed in a flash. So, whatever the problem is, call the experts at 623-5000. Brand Source Service, Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park. Telephone 623-5000.
Vamped Motors encourages everyone to stay home in compliance with our government's directives, which are absolutely critical to protect our islands from the coronavirus. In light of this, Vamped Motors will be closed until our Cayman Islands government gives us the all-clear to return to work. Please, everyone, be safe and let's get through this together by staying apart.
Home, which should be a haven, can even be less of a safe space during curfew if someone is experiencing child abuse. If you or anyone you know is being abused, help is nearby. For emergencies, call 911. They will redirect your call to the relevant agencies. For general guidelines and inquiries, call the Multi-Agency Safeguarding Hub, MASH, at 1-800-534-2273 or 945-0545. Alternatively, email mash@gov.ky.
Fishing is permitted between the hours of 5:15 a.m. and 7 p.m. through Saturday, 6th June. Starting Sunday, 7th June, the restriction on the use of boats for fishing will be relaxed in Grand Cayman and Cayman Brac and will permit fishing between the hours of 4:45 a.m. and 9 p.m. each day of the week, including Sunday, but no more than 6 persons may be on a boat. In Cayman Brac, boats may also be used for leisure during these times, but inter-island travel by boat is not permitted. No fishing, no boating or congregating is being permitted at Stingray City, Starfish Point, Rum Point or the Sandbar. This means that a person may not anchor any boat, exercise on the beach, fish or swim, or carry out any activities in any of those areas. This restriction does not impact beachside residents exercising at those locations.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. Any calls, Miss Susan? Okay, good. I'm torn between two things. There's an article also run that carried in the Jamaica Gleaner yesterday, and it's entitled Caribbean Destinations at Odds Over Regions Tourism Reopening. And while they have CARICOM has set up and given advice in terms of how this should be handled, it seems as if some Caribbean countries are taking a different approach. There's no unity. I don't know if you can call it a cutthroat attitude, where some are trying to reopen earlier than others to try to attract the business or whatever. But I'm at odds whether or not I should share that with you. But I think more important is the changes that are going to take effect in the Cayman Islands as of today, as they were reported in the press briefing on Friday. So I think we will stick with things closer to home. But meanwhile, we do have a caller, so we'll go to the phone lines. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, Mr. Connor.
Good morning, Cap. How are you, sir?
Oh, very good this morning. I hope you'd give me enough a little time, because I'm sure when I get through with this, I'll be up northward. And,
go right ahead. I'll help to put you there. Then I'll give you all the time you need. Enough rope. I'll give you enough rope.
Okay. I have a flashback from that incident up in with that man that is choked to death up in Minnesota, I believe.
Yes.
I know I'm going to get in jail for this one, but you remember 22 years ago when that English police, his name was Donald something, choked my cousin Zacchaeus Valhulston?
Yes.
That the story on that was never told correctly. Now, Val was my cousin. Mm-hmm. He was a mean, I'll have to say, hateful, honest, and he was not a liar. He told the truth. His father was the biggest liar in South Sound, but he told the truth. This person was stealing his, he was mean. He was stealing his gnips. And it is alleged that he hit her car and broke the glass, and she called the police. This big, strapping 200 and something pound, 6'2" or something like that, came there and demanded him to pay for the damage.
Mm-hmm.
And they got in a scuffle.
But that's for a court to decide whether or not he should pay for damages, not for a police officer.
That's well, I'm just starting on that. And Val had a little problem because a few years with the government, a few years before that, the coconut tree is still there. He caught two police and a police car in uniform taking his coconuts.
Mm-hmm.
The government, the land up there by the college.
The school, yep. Mm-hmm.
They took that from him. They didn't want to pay him. He had trouble with, so he didn't think very much of the government, I tell you that. But he was honest, and he was not a liar. This police, I was not there. Good thing. It was a Saturday evening, and they got in a scuffle there, and this man choked him. This police knocked him on the ground and choked him, and he claimed that he was waving this machete over his head, but Val couldn't lift his hand over his head. You remember how bad over he was?
Yeah, he was hunched over, yes, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And he used to feed his chicken on the other side of the road. He allowed chicken, and he used to break the coconut and for the chickens. And that's why he had the machete in one hand, because he couldn't stand up. He couldn't stand up. And I was down at my uncle's place when I seen this police car going down. It looked something funny. I seen it was someone in the back, but I couldn't see what it was. And when I got up there, a person told me that the Val had arrested Val and put him in. So I went to the police station, and the officer, I'm not going to call her name, she was a Caymanian. She allowed me to come in to see him. But by this time, the police, they got in a scuffle. He had to go to the hospital to get a tetanus shot or something. Anyhow, the next morning, Sunday morning, I went down to see him, and he could not swallow. He had his fingerprints in there. You could see where he was choked. I called Dr. Steve Thompson.
So he was still in custody then?
No.
Okay, he was home. Okay.
They released him that night.
Okay.
And the same person interrogated him. They held him there for about 4 or 5 hours or something. They released him. Next morning, I went down to see him, and he couldn't. You could see the prints of the fingers in his throat. It was. I'll tell you more about that.
Mm-hmm.
I called Dr. Thompson, and he told him what had happened. He said, "Meet me in my office. Give me an hour." He was up over number 1 shoe store on Walker Road at that time.
Okay.
The late Berkeley White and myself took Val in the car and carried him, and we had to wait for Dr. Thompson to come there. So I drove around a little bit, and I met the late Carol Wilson, whatever her name was.
Winkler.
Which I knew very well, and told her what happened. And she took pictures of and her little notepad made notes, but they would not make her publish this story.
Wow.
He went to court. He went to court, and his lawyer was an Englishman also. I'm not going to call his name. I should. But it wasn't very much of a defense. Well, Val was, I have to say, he gave away his case nearly. But they say that this man was waving that Val was waving this machete in the air. If he had to put him on have him to demonstrate, the man couldn't raise his hand over his head. That was a big lie. Then it was that was Saturday night. Sunday morning, I took him to the Dr. Thomason. He seen him, and that night I went down there because I don't live far from him, to see what he was doing. He was sitting down there. Up comes this police car again with the same police and a lady. I don't know. I lost my notes because I had her badge number and everything, but I'm speaking from what I remember now. I lost my notes. And she came and started. The man that beat him up didn't get out the car. He parked on the other side by Miss Sybil's place. And she came to Mr. Wall. I said, well, I opened my big mouth then. I said, well, you don't have nothing to say to her. Don't say Helena. Oh, no, Mr. Wall. I ain't coming to interfere with you. I just want to see how you're doing. And she said, Mr. Wall, you sure the person that choked you wasn't black?
Wow.
And I had the lady, the other lady was with me. she's gone back to Jamaica now, but she was taking care of my cousin, Nurse Morris. She was taking that is so, you know, he handcuffed the struggle. He handcuffed him, but he didn't handcuff behind him. He had him sitting down in the car, and with his handcuff, and he sat down on top of him, and the print of the handcuff was in his chest. You could print the handcuff, and I'm not allowed to say on the air what he called him. A derogatory word. And
it's a pity we didn't have cell phones those days, huh?
But his lawyer did not represent him because the prosecutor was a little dark. I believe he was West Indian. I know that he was very feisty, but of course, and this team, this police, he disappeared all of a sudden. He disappeared all of nothing, and
What was the result of the case? They
found him guilty, but at his age, they let him. They dismissed it. But I'm gonna call his name now. Kelvin McCann I believe was a deputy commissioner or something. He wrote a letter. I seen it with my eyes in the investigation. Not a shred of evidence that this man choked him. And Dr. Thompson, I hope he's listening. He can tell you that. And it was about 2 weeks. He couldn't swallow. But he wouldn't go back to Dr. He went to Dr. Marsh, the late Dr. Marsh.
Okay.
Because he didn't trust. I say he had so much trouble with the government, the police stealing his and then the government taking his land and wouldn't sell for him. Wouldn't sell for him. So he didn't trust them. But Val Hurston was not a bum. He's the man that moved that little market in front of Royal Bank of Canada. That used to be out on the waterfront. He moved that round during the war, and on skids on that block and tackle, 5 or 6 men, I can tell you who they were, and they never lost a day. And Val was very, very well respected, and that was his demise. From time that happened to him, he wouldn't shave, he wouldn't bathe, he wouldn't eat. And he was very so.
Yeah, extremely traumatic experience. For a man at that age, yeah, certainly, yeah.
What I'm telling you is what God loves to hear.
The truth.
The truth. I was not there when it happened, but I got the people who was there told me about it, and I said Val was not a liar. So and the truth has never been told about this, because that was it goes back. I couldn't help when I couldn't sleep last night because I had a rehearsing what I was going to say. Because this thing it brought back memories
of it. Yes, the injustice, of the system.
Injustice. And he disappeared because I understand this. The police. He had trouble with several other people, but they swept it under the rug and hiked him up and sent them away. Nothing was said about it. So I'm sure I'll be on that list.
I don't think so. I think you're bringing out a situation that obtained in the Cayman Islands, unfortunately, at that point in time, and there are several instances of that in the Cayman Islands. We had judges who people say they were a policeman's judge, because when you go to court, they would always believe what the police officer told them. And, until the advent of body cameras and cell phones and stuff like that, we're finding out that not all police officers are necessarily truthful, as well. But Captain Paul, we have to, I have to go now. We have a commercial break. But thank you very much. But I don't think you're going to get any heat for what you brought out here as well. Thank you very much.
I've been through a lot of it before, so thank you for listening to me.
Thank you very much, Captain Paul. Folks, we're going to take our last commercial break. Please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
We all know there's nothing more refreshing than the taste of an ice-cold Coca-Cola straight from the cooler.
No one can stop me when I taste the feeling.
Whether we're celebrating a birthday, promotion, or just a great meal, make each moment a Coca-Cola moment.
No one can stop me when I taste the feeling.
Available across the Cayman Islands from Tortuga Distributors. Make sure you ask for the unforgettable flavor of a classic Coca-Cola.
Hi, I'm remodeling our bathroom. I have a few questions.
Sure.
What are some ideas to make my bathroom feel larger? How do I know if I'm picking the right vanity? How do I choose a new toilet or a new countertop? Also, the lighting is terrible. Can I put a window or a skylight? And do I really need an exhaust fan?
You've come to the right place. At Brand Source, we custom design kitchen and baths, and our talented design team can help answer your questions. Whether you're looking for a modern, functional family bathroom or a luxurious personal retreat, we'll help create that beautiful space that makes your home yours. And if you're in a rush for a new look and have a limited budget, our ready-to-install bathroom vanities built with solid wood and countertops of the finest materials are a quick and easy remodeling solution.
For the very best in custom-designed kitchens and baths, visit Brand Source Home Gallery on Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park, Cayman's Kitchen and Bath Center.
Headlines.
With the latest headlines.
Headlines.
One of Cayman's bright and shining young stars, local, regional, international.
Headlines.
Turning to international news. Updates on the hour between 7 a.m. and 6 p.m. on weekdays. All the news when you want it. Tune in to Radio Cayman for hourly headlines of the day's top stories.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice, your radio.
Members of the public are reminded that the new curfew period will run nightly, 8 p.m. until 4:30 a.m. through Saturday, 6 June 2020. Adjustments will be made for the hard curfew period from Sunday, 7th June 2020 through Monday, 22nd June 2020. The curfew period will be from 10 p.m. until 4:30 a.m. daily. The new imposition of curfew order relates to Grand Cayman and Cayman Brac only. During this period of curfew, only exempted essential services personnel may be on the road, outside, and away from their residence. Social distancing requirements apply, and persons should not congregate in groups of more than 2 through Saturday, 6 June.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matter. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. We have 10 minutes left to go in the show. We have 2 calls, so we're going to ask everyone, please be brief. First caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, I just going back, I was listening to Captain Paul there a while ago.
Yes.
I heard of from a very, very close family member just in the last few weeks. And he was driving in the West Bay area when a dog ran out in front of him, and he didn't have time to apply brakes, and so obviously the dog became the demise. He was later contacted by a police officer who told him that he had to pay the owner of the dog $400. Well, I don't know who trained that officer, but surely the officer did not receive the training that I received and another officer received. Because one of the first things that we were taught is that we had to be very cautious in getting involved in civil disputes.
Right.
The compensation for a dog, first of all, the owner, if it had been me, the damage that my car received, I would have pursued that because there's a leash law. The dog should not have been off a leash because it damaged my car, and you could tell me I got to pay $400 towards for this dog being killed. I would have simply said to the owner, if you're getting more, send him out on the road. I'll be back next 10 minutes.
The Humane Society wouldn't like you to say that.
Well, that's their problem. But if you're not going on a leash, you don't expect nothing.
No. Yeah.
So it's not the remit of police officers to tell people or to interject and suggest that people must pay monies towards a mutt that was just killed in the road. That is untoward. You shouldn't get involved in that kind of thing. I know back in the day, the biggest complaint that we used to have was from landlords. And at that time, even if the person did not pay their rent, we as police officers did not have the remit to go and eject them from any premises.
Precisely.
We did not have it because it was a civil dispute. The individual was advised, our job was to advise their recourse, which was to go to court and get an order by the court.
Mm-hmm.
So the police had no remit. So therefore, I mean, police officers shouldn't do that. It should not be done.
Yep.
That is just my take to that. It shouldn't be done.
Yes. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Deal with criminality, not civil neglect. Thank you, O.C.
Thank you very much, caller, for that. Last caller for the morning. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Hello, good morning, sir.
Morning, sir. How are you?
I'm just fine, Mr. O.C. Mr. O.C., you know, I listen to Captain Paul. I also watch what's happening up in the States. And then I read here about even violence by certain officers within the police force against other officers. So when I read that and I see the results and the way that it happened with it, you know, you go through all this investigation, you have your hearing, but then there's no consequence. So therefore, why should the behavior be changed if there's no consequence? And how can the public expect to be treated any better than the way some officers treat other officers and get away with it?
Good point.
And then they're bringing in the Sandhurst people, which are trained to kill in England. That's what Sandhurst College is. We're going to send 150.
Well, that's one. I would say that's painting it unfairly. That's one part of what they do. Train you in the art of combat. But there are other aspects in relation to Sandhurst in terms of leadership training and all of that. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. They train the leaders to be the killing leaders. So they look at what happened in Northern Ireland, where there was a badge of honor amongst the British Armed Forces if they had killed an IRA. You get your IRA yet? You can't come out of Northern Ireland unless you've got your IRA. That's a club that they had. And we're sending our people to Sandhurst, 150. We do not need that expense. We do not need these people. We need to have our people get together. And under the premise of telling our people lies that they're being trained to help in times of hurricane. That's not what they're doing.
No, I don't think. In all defense, they have said that it could include things like crowd control and stuff as well. I don't think that that they're saying that they're sending them over to Sandhurst to deal with deal with hurricanes. The governor has pointed out, security issues, crowd control, and stuff like that as well.
Right. Now, you see, when you have crowd control issues that arise, that's because you have a governance that is not listening to the people.
Not necessarily, because we had major disruptions and people out of control after Hurricane Ivan. They were out there looting, and what were they looting? Liquor stores. If someone was really, really in want and in need and hungry, why would they go out there and loot liquor stores? And we had that after Hurricane Ivan.
I buy you with that. There was a couple of isolated incidents. It wasn't.
They were more than isolated. I recall, because I was in the thick of things, and at that point in time, Derek Haynes was in charge of the drug squad and everything, and he and his guys were some of the more visible police officers on the scene, because many officers couldn't even get out. And the 7 Mile Beach areas, the Big Daddy's liquor stores and stuff like that, some of those foreigners and as well as Caymanians were going crazy.
I saw it. I saw it with my 2 eyes. 7 Mile Shop. I watched it, took a couple of pictures and all that kind of stuff. No, I'm not disputing that. But there is an underlying unrest amongst Caymanians that feel that they're being ignored, that feel the oppression that is on them, and that they see the government wanting to take this country to 125, 150,000 people with 80-story buildings.
Well, I think that attitude will probably change now after this COVID-19 situation.
I haven't heard it yet. I haven't heard it from the government yet.
Yeah.
The government is still talking about getting us back on track on this crazy, out of control, no building plan, no country policy plan, a centric policy that is not Caymanian first. And if we don't put our people first, dog is going to eat our supper.
Yeah.
And that is where we are, and we need to have Caymanian-centric first, generational Caymanian-centric first.
Okay.
Otherwise, we're going to have trouble.
Got you. Sorry, I'm going to ask you to leave us there. I had one more WhatsApp message. Someone sent in, and basically their situation is they apparently had a 3-month temporary work permit. They put in for a renewal because they didn't have time to put in for the 1 year. They now have the permit is almost ready to expire. They've received something from work saying that they need to provide additional information in terms of the work that is being performed by the individual that they're applying for. Not familiar, haven't been in immigration for a long time, but I believe that when you put in an application for a renewal of a work permit, if it's a temporary or whatever, that person is allowed to continue to work while that permit is being renewed. Now, we know that as of, when did we go into the lockdown, Ms. Susan? Sometime in March. We went into the February, March, we went into the lockdown. That person may not have had the ability to work during that period of time. I don't know what adjustments, will be made to that. But it seems to me as if that temporary, that renewal that person has submitted is likely to expire fairly soon now, as well. But my advice to you is get in touch with work. They have several contact numbers that you can call them. You can send them emails as well in relation to what they have sent out. Bear in mind that people have been working remotely from home since then. Hopefully on Wednesday, I'm sure that we'll have MLA Mr. Ezard Miller in with us. But I want to take a close look at this Caribbean destination at odds over regions tourism reopening as well. And 1.5 minutes ago, changes take effect the 1st of June. From today, all construction businesses may fully operate subject to any conditions which may be imposed by the competent authority and persons observing social distancing requirements. All retail and real estate businesses will be able to fully operate and must observe the social distance requirements and enforce the wearing of masks by customers. Persons will be able to exercise in any public place, including government walking tracks. Also, persons will be able to engage in open-air, non-contact sports such as tennis and golfing, but no more than 2 at any time may engage in such sport, and this will be subject to any condition which may be imposed by the competent authority, as well as persons observing the social distancing requirements. Persons will be able to travel to convenience stores, mini-marts, or gas stations or refilling stations on Sunday, as well. However, the surname restrictions will not apply on Sundays. It should be noted that in Grand Cayman, notwithstanding the gradual opening of more businesses, those businesses which are not exempted or specified in the regulations still must remain closed. However, where possible, their staff can continue to work remotely from home. Lots more to go on that. Hopefully on Wednesday, share more with you. But by then, we will have the results of another press briefing as well. Folks, I want to thank you for allowing Radio Cayman and by extension For the Record into your homes, into your vehicles, as you traverse the roads of the Cayman Islands into your places of work. I also want to remind you that we are our brothers and our sisters keepers. There is always someone out there who's less fortunate than we are, and I ask you to extend a helping hand to them. If you can't do that, then I suggest you donate to a worthy charity, because we always want to consider those who need, not necessarily those who want or even those who crave. I say to you, have a great day. Continue to support your radio station, Radio Cayman. Join Sterling, Dwayne Ebanks at 12:15 for Talk Today. And as usual, we ask the good Lord to bless these three beautiful, wonderful Cayman Islands.
For the Record is brought to you by Vamped Motors, the only authorized Ford and Toyota dealership serving the Cayman Islands. Cayman Pharmacy Group, with a location in West Bay and professional pharmacy at CTMH Doctors Hospital. The Cayman Pharmacy Group has a location for you just around the corner. Seaboard Marine, with over 35 shipping ports, find your shipping solution by calling 949-4977 or visit seaboardmarine.com for competitive rates. FIS MoneyGram, the safest and most convenient way to send money worldwide. MoneyGram, bringing you closer. Coca-Cola, available across the Cayman Islands from Tortuga Distributors. Accept no substitutes. Taste the feeling with Coca-Cola. Brand Source Home Gallery, inspiring luxury. And Fidelity Bank. Fidelity, we're good for you.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman.
It's only 2 species that we have here on Island.
Generations present.
Your voice, your choice.
It is in the best interest of the people of these islands.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
Cayman is seeing more companies reopen in the face of the global pandemic. Notable openings from today include the entire construction industry, all retail and real estate businesses subject to any conditions which may be imposed by the Ministry of International Trade, and persons observing social distancing requirements. Government has issued a guide for workplace reentry, which is now available at gov.ky/corona.